Okay, warriors, this is how you will set up for your carbon dioxide in Albedo lab. So we need to launch the Vernier Graphical Analysis app. So this is the icon and the name that you're going to be looking for. And then once you find that app, you're going to go ahead and launch it. This is kind of your landing screen. We'll need sensor data collection. And so I'm going to click that. And I have two ways to be able to connect a device. So the first way is to look at this number above the barcode. So I notice this one says 187. And so what I'm going to do is look down this list until I find 187. And you'll notice there's quite a long list because we have a lot of sensors in the room. So I'm going to connect that one. And you'll see it then pop up to the top where it says connected devices. You're going to be running 2 bottles at a time, so you also need your second device. So you can do that same method, or you can use this proximity connect. So if I click proximity connect, I just hold the second device near my computer, and you'll notice, boom, it says it's connected to K1, and so then I can just double check. So there's that K1 that it connected to, and now I have my 2 sensors. The other thing you need from this type of screen is looking at your what reading measurements it's taking. We're going to be mostly taking temperature, so I'm just going to click off carbon dioxide and click on temperature for this section before I click done. The way to get back to that screen is this little sensor icon right there. Pretty messy, and I can't tell what this is up here. So what I'm going to do is click on this icon right here, and notice how it says 2 graphs. I only need the 1 graph, and so I'm going to, so that, notice, gets rid of the second one. The other thing I need to click is make sure that it's showing me the information I want to show, and I want it to show me the temperature of both of those particular bottles or temperature probes that I connected. So I'm going to click that like that. So now what will happen is I'm going to go ahead and set up my experiment. Okay, so my lab partner and I just set up this experiment, and Mr. Alamang blew into one of these, and I don't know which bottle has the carbon dioxide and which one doesn't. So I've got to figure that part out. So here's where on my temperature probe, like, it'll tell me which one is which. So this one says it's K1, this one says it's 187, but I don't know which one has the carbon dioxide in it. So I might need to go back to sensor setup here, and when I click these channels back over to carbon dioxide and temperature, so from temperature to carbon dioxide, what you'll see now is I've got down here in the bottom this carbon dioxide reading. Notice how this number is way higher and it's changing, right? It's getting higher and higher. This one's just kind of hanging out in that 1,000 range, but this one's jumping up. So I know that this one has my carbon dioxide in it. So I'm going to look for the sensor that says 187, which is this one. And I know this one is my carbon dioxide bottle. So now I know to keep track of this one as carbon dioxide. But now before I click start on my experiment, I am going to need to change those back to temperature. So that I know I'm collecting the correct data. Okay, so my data is done collecting, and now I need to annotate, and I need to figure out what all this stuff means. So I'm going to start by, again, reconfirming which line is which by which one's my temperature bottle. So earlier I had identified sensor 187 as my carbon dioxide bottle. So I'm going to click down here. 187 goes with temperature 1, which is that blue line. So now I have to be able to tell when I report my data what that is. So I'm going to go ahead and add an annotation. So I'm going to add an annotation. And so in this annotation, I'm going to tell everybody what was in that bottle. So the blue line represents carbon dioxide. Okay, now carbon dioxide, here's where I skipped a step at the beginning. You would also want to put in the number that went with the amount of carbon dioxide from that first reading. I did not write that down for the sake of this video, so I could just kind of show you the nitty-gritties of getting started. Your instructor will talk with you more about that one. The other thing I need to put in here is the temperature change. So temperature change, we're going to get actually from the same spot, but we're going to do view statistics. So when we do view statistics, what we can see is our two lines represented here on the color bars. And what we're looking for is the change in temperature. So temperatures are y-axis, so we're looking for that delta Y number. So this blue line changed its temperature by 8.8 degrees Celsius. So I would want to put that also into my annotation. I can put it as a separate text box, but I can also put it in one text box. So do what works for you. And so temperature change was 8.863. Whoops, that's not a point, is it? 8.863 degrees Celsius, and I would add my units there. My favorite website is Symbol Salad for getting things like if I wanted to use the delta or the degree sign. So my temperature change was 8.863. I don't have it and I can't leave it. Degrees Celsius. I don't even think I spelled that right. Okay. So I would add that annotation. The other thing you can do is make sure that your viewers can see those two delta Y numbers. So if I put that in my screen like that, I can see the delta Y here, I can see the delta Y there, and my viewers would know what was in there. The other thing you'll notice is there's kind of a weird bump right here in my data. I'm going to need an annotation for anything that's weird. So in this case, it was how I prevented bias, right? I was going to do some moving around in my bottles, and I was late of the 200 mark, so I had to run my experiment a little bit extra. I'm going to want to add an annotation that goes with that as well. So bottles were switched at, looks like I switched them at around 425 seconds. So that way my viewers know that I was trying to avoid bias, and I might even put that near the graph at that point so that my viewers can see that annotation that I added. So you will include your line label, you have to include your results or your temperature change, and then anything else that you can see in the data that was significant to your procedure events or that might make a difference. After I have all my annotations, this one's obviously not done, what I'm going to do is click over here where it says Untitled, and I can save it if I want, but the main thing you want to do is export that. I'm going to export that as a graph image, and it will then let me change that. So then on my computer, I'm probably going to want to change to name it by what's in the bottles. I had carbon dioxide and a control. So then I can tell it where I want it to save it, and now it's going to save it as an image that I can then put into my slide deck so that I have one spot to keep everything and I know what I'm going to upload to Flipgrid, because this is the main thing we want to see on your screen when you go to report that data. Friends, one last thing, if you have problems with anything, oh my gosh, my graph just changed, it looks different now than it did a second ago. That's because we want to zoom to all data. You'll notice that my annotations are gone now, so that's something to be aware of. You might want to just zoom to all data before you put those annotations in. The other thing is sometimes you, if you want to analyze just one piece of information at a time, you can just toggle those on. And if you've hit collect a bunch of times before without quitting the app, you may see more than one data set here, and you can toggle back and forth between your different data sets here. Usually any vision problems you have, something's not looking the way you want it to look, check this y-axis and check your graph set up here, and you can usually fix anything that you need to fix.